Welcome one, welcome all to the Tales of Tyria. Welcome one, welcome all to the Tales of Tyria.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, tonight on Tales of Tyria, we are talking about the amazing Halloween events. I mean, Arenanet, how are you going to top yourself at Christmas? We need something. Also, Warrior Rundown with our panel. Stay tuned. Yes, welcome one, welcome all, welcome to another exciting episode of Tales of Tyria right here on the Sound Strategy Network. I am Bridger. I'll be your host for this evening for this Guild Wars 2 podcast, your source for inside discussion, and you know what, I don't really have a tagline, but we're glad you got a hold of the show, however you may have found it. Tell a friend or three or four or five, won't you? That would certainly help us out. We are almost live from the Cloud Skimmer Tavern here in Lion's Arch. Glad to have you with us. Let me quickly introduce the rest of our panel tonight. Everybody, the normal panels all got the whole week off. We're giving them vacation time. They're spending it in the Shiver Peaks and in the Maguma volcano with the hot springs. At least I think that's where I sent them. Anyway, joining us again for the second time, Kitties with Lasers, Pew Pew, or Quelp. Welcome, sir.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Good to hear from you again. So you are a member of the Team Legacy structured PvP team, the American one. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you are focused a lot on Warrior as part of that?
Not recently. Warriors in general haven't been getting much love in structured PvP, but it is my second main. My first one right now is Engineer.
Awesome. All right, so you're going to be giving us the structured PvP and telling us why Warriors suck, so we'll get to that coming up in a bit. Also joining us, Friar Tuck, anonymous internet person who responded to my call for help. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, sir. Again, he's going to be here to talk about Warrior, which is your main, correct? You have an 80?
Yes, that's correct.
Now that's very impressive. I'm kidding. I talked to him a bunch before, and he's got some insights he's going to share with us. Also joining us, you may have known him in the past as some random guy from YouTube with way more subscribers than me. But now he is officially a Tales of Tyria guest host. Dontain, welcome, sir.
Hi. Welcome. Thanks a lot.
Great to have you.
You are right about that. Should I play that angle the whole time? You are right about that, Bridger. I do have a lot more subscribers than you do. No.
Yes, as someone who has more subscribers than Bridger, I'd like to point out my argument. Okay. Yes. So, okay. I don't know where that got off. Let me quickly, by the way, throw this out there. I get a lot of questions from people asking about that intro music that we use, that I use for my...
Yeah, I was actually going to ask. That's really cool.
Yes, Bjorn actually was one of the listeners named Bjorn, I believe. I am not going to try to guess which country he's from because I'm pretty sure I forget. So, he's from one of the northern Shiver Peak type countries if Europe was in Tyria. Wow. Okay, the show jumped the shark real early.
Of Norn descent.
Okay, so yes, in the Denmark / north of that area is where I'm going to go with that. Sorry, Bjorn, I can't remember that email that you sent me. But, sir, he has created some of the most awesome music that we're using for the show here, and that's what you heard. If you want to get that for yourself, which is another one that I have heard in the past, there is a link in the show notes to the download link where you can get that music. All right, so... Oh, that's just a bird. I thought that was squeaking from above. All right, background bird is here. So I know a lot of people were protesting that they were gone, but they're back. And now they're making way more noise than I expected. Okay, so we'll deal with that later. First, let's talk about Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say, I was blown away by everything that I've seen. To be fair, I didn't really participate in any of the Guild Wars 1 celebrations, because I only played that for a very brief time. Dontain, what do you think? Guild Wars 1 versus Guild Wars 2 Halloween. How do they measure up?
I've been told to say that there's more excitement in Guild Wars 2 Halloween. There's a lot more thought put into it because a lot of the members of my guild, and these are the only people that I know who played Guild Wars 1. Like, I didn't play it. None of my friends did. And a lot of them are just like, it was really fun in Guild Wars 1, but this one's so much better. And then I'm just glad to hear that because improvements and all that sort of thing, a really exciting thing in a game.
Okay, what do you think, Friar Tuck? I think you've played a lot of Guild Wars 1, right?
I did. As a matter of fact, I have 7 Guild Wars 1 Halloweens under my belt, and I do have to say that Guild Wars 1 never crashed this much during Halloween. I do have to say that.
It never crashed for me. I know there was one big crash shortly after the event on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
We had issues on Hinge of Dinravi at the first act we had problems with. We couldn't get into that dungeon. That was glitched for 2 days, I think. Other than that, I love it. It's fun.
All right, I'm going to try and find Mad King Lion's Arch. I'm pretty sure that'll get me what I'm looking for. Yes, it is. So I don't know if any of our listeners have been living under a rock or what have you, but if you were, you may have missed this awesome cutscene to be found in the Guild Wars 2 on Sunday at... what was it? It was 3 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken. We had a little good time waiting around for that to happen, and it was a one-time cutscene you could only see if you were there, or if you have access to the internet. One of those two things. Let's take a quick look here. So he's kind of big. Big flaming pumpkin head. Well, how long does that thing burn, by the way? Is that like the solution to... all of our energy problems? Just burn pumpkins?
I think it's just covered in Greek fire.
Could be. So that turns into a portal to the other Mad Realm, which is actually sort of a 5-person dungeon event in which he is the boss. And what did you guys think? Did you guys go through that?
I have. I think we did it like 8 times the other night.
Oh yeah?
It's hard to do with 4. It's a lot nicer to do with 5, but it's doable with 4.
I see somebody in the chat, Fractal says, I soloed him, man. I died like 15 times, but it's totally possible. So, Dontain, that fight, was it epic? What was your thoughts?
That's not you don't want to ask me that question because I haven't done it yet.
Oh no!
I heard it's good, and I mean, I'm not one of these people who worries about spoilers and stuff. I've heard that it's good. I've heard that it's challenging. It's just challenging enough for it to be like a holiday thing. Like it's only going to be around a little while. Let's not make it like ridiculously difficult, but fun. And I've been doing a lot of like in World of Warcraft. I've been logging in and doing the Headless Horseman, which is boring as hell because it's the same thing that it's always been. And this is it's more entertaining than the par for the course. I think that they've done far better in the idea realm is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so.
and I think the thing that sells it is the voice, right? Don't they get his voice so damn good? Like you hear it in a lot of different places, but specifically in that dungeon when he does the Mad King says, he has that, and I know it's some kind of effect too. Not only the way that the voice actor's working, but there's some kind of weird effect to it. He'll be talking normally and then scream in the middle of his sentence. He's like, and now you will dance for me. Dance! And you're like, whoa! Whoa, what just happened? Oh, man. So yeah, needless to say, I appreciated the quality. Let's move on. Anyway, scavenger hunt. Did you guys do the scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
I did.
I thought it was very cleverly done. It was not too hard.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to point out the guy who PvPs is just like, what? I don't know what anything is.
We're getting
have Quelp muted
in PvP.
They didn't have the scavenger hunt in PvP. They should.
There was a scavenger hunt? Like, nobody told me.
I'm sorry, man. We're getting to you in a bit. Was the scavenger hunt too hard, too easy? What do you guys think?
Honestly, I think that if I logged in and I didn't know what to do via going to like websites or looking up stuff or getting hints, it would have been really, really, really challenging. But like I never got in like right as people were doing it, so I didn't have people to talk to. Like, oh my God, what did you figure out? You know? the first couple hints are really simple, especially if you do your personal story and stuff like that. So you're just like, okay, where are the boats and lines? Okay, sewer, and you know where to go. But without the help of like Guild Wars Insider and other, and Reddit, I would have been pulling my hair out. And but I liked it though. It was really cool. I like it in general. It's a cool little scavenger hunt thing, and the reward is nice too. That's the cool thing, is that the reward is actually something that you see people. You're like, they have a book on their back that's on fire. You're like, I want that, and so that's great.
Clearly, it's a special kind of heatless fire that doesn't, in fact, catch your clothing on fire. It's a special. It's a special effect only. Don't worry about it.
My only complaint's the 22 silver I had to spend mapping all over the place to get the different bullets. It starts getting expensive as you get up higher in levels. I just hit 80 the weekend before, so it was a nice little wake-up call there.
Absolutely. I was very happy with the way that it worked out, especially the way they hid some of them. Like there was that one that always sticks in my head, the Prevenic Tomb one, that has like the spider in it and the big spider, but then there was also a backup plan. If you weren't there, you don't have to kill the champion. You can do a little puzzle on the side and get through.
That's the one you and I were online while we were walking through it together.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you were helping me through that. So I thought those were really cool. Was that Prevenic Tomb ever in there before this event?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was there.
Oh, what was behind those? Oh, so behind those doors was always a little chest. It just they hid
chest
the guy
and then
in
the
there.
rock that shoots you back out to the top. Yep.
Yep. And that's that stupid rock. I wonder how many people got in there and were like, oh, I bet this is something to do with the what am I doing outside? No!
I did that. I felt really dumb because I was like, a chest? I know what a chest is. Mysterious stone, I'm going to touch this first.
That's the first. That's the first.
I was like,
oh. Into the room, he goes, "Hey, there's a chest. What's that rock?" And I went, "No, don't touch the rock. Don't touch the rock."
Yeah, you warned me about it, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I clicked on it, and it's like, you can hear sounds, and it sounds like outside. And I was like, oh, I see what's going to happen here. I'm on to you, Arenanet. What's great is, though, you walk up to the chest, and they did this all over the place. If you had the idea right, and you went into the area, and you used the candy-powered thing, the Ghostbusters, whatever, you could...
Candy-powered matter meter.
Matter meter, thank you. You could basically... a skeleton would pop out of nowhere and disappear, and you'd be like, what the hell? How is that helping me? Until you do it again and realize that the skeleton pops out and then points and then goes down. So you follow where he's pointing and you get to it. I thought that was really cool. It was challenging and made you think, but it wasn't so hard that it was basically impossible to do without a guide. That's what I liked about it.
Now, I do have to point out that Bridger did call the second portion of that scavenger hunt right outside of that graveyard, and you said, oh, I have a feeling this is going to...
Uh-oh. We're losing you a little bit, Fry. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, you were breaking up a little bit. But you're talking about the thing that was stuck in the ground.
Yeah, you called it right outside of that graveyard, right out in Queensdale right there.
What did that want? Did that do something with Act 3? I don't remember.
No, I thought we came back to it for Act 2.
Oh, okay. I think I was there. No, I didn't come back to it in Act 2. Maybe there's something there now. I didn't check. Oh, no. Now my brain is going crazy. So anyway, what do you guys think of all the stuff? The new stuff that you can have now. The skins, the tonics, costume brawl, candy corn. I don't think I'm ever going to get enough of candy corn. Ever. Really. Quelp has what, 2? Do you have 2 candy corn? Tell me you at least have 2 candy corn.
I have 0 candy corn. I only have the PvP skins that they have for Halloween.
Oh, well. Did you get the good ones?
What? Pardon?
Did you get the good ones? Which ones did you get?
I got the shield, the Mad Moon shield.
Boo! That's the white one, right? The black one's way cooler.
Yeah, they don't have that one though in PvP. So
Really?
they gave 1 shield, 1 staff, 1 short bow, and it's kind of funny because the hotfix where they made everything from the soulbound on acquire was done because people were salvaging these items and getting like dragon tokens, which is like one of the higher rank, like rank 80 plus tokens you can get. And
when you can craft PvP items, you're talking about.
Yeah, so it pretty much broke it. So they had to pretty much make things soulbounds on acquire now, so you can't do anything with them anymore.
I think the other thing that hotfix fixed, excuse me, there was another hotfix that fixed the in the labyrinth in the Mad King's realm, apparently the chests in there would have about a 50% chance to give you an exotic of whatever level you were. And so people were just farming exotics like crazy in there for the first couple hours, and I missed it. I'm so angry. Nobody
But
told
they
me.
laid a dollar short on that one as well.
Oh, well, too bad, too bad. So, Dontain, I know you have some thoughts about the skins that you sort of discussed on your YouTube channel. Why don't you reiterate? What are your thoughts on the whole controversy of, oh, well, I spent $1 billion on chests and I didn't get any skins?
Okay. The reality of it is some people are going to be really like happy with how they're doing skins, and a lot of these people are. I'd like to say that a lot of them are just Guild Wars 1 players who are just happy that Guild Wars 2 is here and it's so pretty, and they're just happy to have it. And I see skins and I like the detail of most of the skins, especially the bow and the greatsword. But my only opinion on skins is that they should be something that you make a goal of getting. Like, oh, it's Halloween? Well, my goal is to get that cool skin. And you can't do that. It's random luck. And the chance of you looting them is so low that it puts a sour taste in some people's mouths.
Well, you can craft 3 of them, right?
I know, can you?
Yeah, there are the Arachnophobia, the White Moon, and the Staff.
You have to create a gift. Yeah, you have to create a gift.
Yeah, it's almost a legendary.
You use those chattering. Well, yeah, but you only have to make like one gift and then have the Arachnophobia and then candy corn, like 250 candy corns, and something.
I think there's a lot of
else.
orichalcum and a bunch of other stuff too. I could be wrong, but I think maybe the gift requires that. There's also, each of them requires a gift from one of the dungeons. I don't remember. It's one, like knowledge goes for one and something else goes to the other one, something like that.
Really? Jeez. Well, see, if it was across the board, if it was all the same, like all the skins, because let's make it clear, what you're talking about is skins that are temporary. Like the Arachnophobia, the shield, and the staff with the little lantern on it. Those are temp skins. All the other skins are permanent.
No.
And those are
the craftable versions of those skins are not temporary. The ones that you make with the gifts are not temporary. But yes, the ones you buy from the vendor are temporary, right?
From the vendor?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a vendor in Lion's Arch. You can buy 4-hour versions of those skins for like 6 silver each. That's the temporary ones.
Yes, those ones. So you buy them. Yeah, I didn't know where you got them. Those are the only temporary ones. And I actually like the idea of working hard, putting in hours of game time during the holiday season to make a gift and then combine that with the temp skin and some candy corn and the 4th object, whatever it is. And you get to go, look at this, man. I spent time during Halloween. I get to keep this. This is sweet.
Yeah.
But not all the skins are like that. Just those 3. All the other ones are permanent. But they just have this ridiculously low chance to drop out of Black Lion chests or Mad King chests. Or allegedly you can get them from the chest. I guess there's a chest that spawns after you defeat the Mad King or you loot the Mad King or something. And you get a chance to get it. But it's all still this very, very low chance. And for them, it just doesn't click right in my head for them to make such really good looking skins. And I mean, when you look at the Arachnophobia and you look at the Greatsword skin, those are sweet. And it's almost like Arenanet doesn't want you to have them. They're like, it's really cool. We put all this time into it, but we don't want everybody to have it. And I get that. There's something to be said about people who have like rare stuff, but it's a holiday thing. And it's just like, only reason I have them is because someone donated them to me. That's the only reason. I wouldn't even pursue trying to get them. And I guess that's my WoW side of me. That's just like, I don't want to say that it sounds entitling, but, and it's not a sub-fee game, so, people can say that about it. But I want everybody to be able to acquire these things, and you can't.
So
and
you're
that's my
thinking
only
for
real
holiday events, everybody should really be able to participate in everything that's available?
Well, you can participate in everything. You can. You can participate in everything that
should
goes
be able
on.
To acquire. Okay, so let me rephrase.
You should be able to
acquire everything.
Like, for example, I'll give you a real for instance. If that jumping puzzle, you jump inside that clock tower, after you're done being so excited and happy for yourself for doing something that's so difficult to do, if you open that chest and you guaranteed get one of those skins, it doesn't even, like, you can get mad that you didn't get the one you wanted, but you can run it again. If that was a scenario, like, you could go do that, get a skin, that would be better in my opinion. But I'm not a game designer, and I don't work for Arenanet, and I just, that's the only thing that does. It just irks me a little bit that people get like the Mad King slippers. Like, well, screw that. It's got magic find. What does that even do in this game? Like I said, like if you go to the trading post and you type Mad King, and then I think I saw all the Mad King plate or the heavy gear, and I'm like, oh god, a whole suit of Mad King heavy gear because it's all exotic and it's got magic find. It's like, this would be really cool. Guess what? It looks just like that. It looks like the pit fighter armor that you get for doing that. And I'm like, nobody likes that helmet. You look like a freaking ice cream cone scooper. Why doesn't this look like Halloween themed? I was just kind of disappointed.
That's a good question. That's a disappointment. Now, my own thought on the whole thing is something becomes more special if it's more unique, obviously. And I know you understand that too. But to me, I think there should be a lot of stuff that everybody can get. Like, everybody who runs the clock tower is going to get those slippers, and it's kind of a shame that they weren't more special, more interesting, more like, this is a token of that really awesome jumping puzzle from Halloween 2012. Like, that's really, I think, what should have been the slippers could have been. They could have been looking like Jester slippers or something crazy. But I think that's everybody should be able to get a token. And the book is a perfect example. That flaming book on your back, that shows you were there, and that's not, your character really only has to be level 40 at most, or even lower. I've heard people do it at level 12 or 13. They can get all that, so you just avoid getting hits. You have a little help. You can get that book. No problem. So that's a cool little thing. But I also appreciate that there are some things that are harder to get that not everybody will have. I opened up, 20, a little less than 20, maybe 12, 15 chests with the keys that I just happened to have for my personal story. I didn't really want to spend any money on them, and I didn't get any stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I still got some boosters, which I wound up using my karma booster with those liquid karma, which is awesome. But my point is, I wanted the skins, but I was okay with not having them, and maybe that's me being different. But that's just sort of my opinion. I don't really care. But
I felt the same way about it, Bridger.
Yeah, Friar Talk. Sorry, I was going to pivot that to you, and then I forgot because I was staring at the wrong screen. But go ahead, sir.
Well, just what Dontain was talking about, how everybody should have the chance to get it. I do agree with that, but going back to Guild Wars 1, okay, Mad King shows up on Halloween. You do Mad King Says. And then you get a wolf's mask, which was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, cool. Replaces your head armor. It looks really, really neat. And the problem is you look around town, and there's 700 other people that have the same exact mask that you. And that gets a little old, and I don't think I've ever worn anything I've gotten from Halloween in Guild Wars 1, because you see 17 other people standing right by the exit walking out that are wearing the same thing as you. So I think it's, like you said, I think it adds a little more to it if you have to work a little more, and if not, everybody's running around with one.
Yep, that's actually a really good point. And you bring up a perfect example, which is not something I had readily available, so I appreciate that for sure. So the other thing that this kind of brought up, and this is not directed at anybody that has Dontain's viewpoint of, oh, well, I was a little disappointed, because there were some people on the forums, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but there were some people on the forums that were really, like, going nuts. And I mean, like, rage hall nuts. Because, and sorry, I'm getting a little excited here. And when I get angry, I have to vent. And when I vent, it's called a Bridger rant. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we see these people on the forums, and they get on there and they say, I opened up $20 worth of chests, and I got nothing. Arenanet, you owe me. Or they get in there, I opened 200 chests. That's impossible. I should have got something. And I just think to myself, yes, this is another example of how humans don't understand probability. And apparently many people in this game didn't even understand that they were gambling. They didn't understand, or if they did understand they were gambling, they didn't understand that sometimes gamblers lose. That a lot of times gamblers lose. They might have that same fallacy that where they go up to a roulette table and see that it's gone black the last 7 times and then go, well, that means it has to go red this time, right? That it has to. 100% chance it's going red. And they put all their money on red. And when it goes black, they go, that's impossible. I just think to myself, I think that word means differently than what you think it means. That doesn't make any sense to me. So listen, this is how it works. If you willingly went out and bought keys and bought chests with the understanding that there was a chance to get something and an understanding that you had no idea what that chance was, you have no right to be angry when you didn't get your thing. As long as you understand that, I don't have to rant anymore. It made me angry. And again, it's not directed at the people like you, Dontain, who are like, yeah, I was disappointed. I think mechanically it should have been different. But these are people that went out there and said, I went into this gambling house and I lost all my money and I want it back. Oh, that feeling of entitlement just kills me. And I know that word's going around a lot, but...
I don't want my money back. I was perfectly happy with spending the $20 on keys, and then I liked the idea of Mad King chests so that you can get a double your chance. But I think it speaks a lot to the idea that I think a lot of people, I think Arenanet's going to get a lot of feedback out of this, and I think a lot of people will say, you know what I really like? I really like earning something. Like if you put something in the game and say, here it is, you got to spend time to get it, then it'll also satisfy people like Friar Tuck who are like, well, everybody's got the wolf mask. You know, like, well, if you have to, like, get the temp wolf mask, make a gift, then do this and this at the forge, and it'll take you, like, a couple of days, sweet. Maybe more people will still have the wolf mask, but at least, you know, they earned it instead of just showing up at the last minute and getting rewarded. Because I had that chainsaw sword, and I think it's cool as hell.
I think that's what the book is, you know. I mean, you see somebody running around with it, you know that they went out to 12 different individual places and got those books to be able to earn that. And, you know, like Bridger said, you know, you can get there anywhere between level 20 and level 40, but you know you put the time in for it. I think that's really all I was looking for.
Yeah, and we're kind of continuing on, but before we finish up with this... That fucking clock tower and the stupid char. It made me hate other people on my server, Arenanet, and that's not supposed to happen. But it's okay because I had a speed buff on. Because one of the things I got out of the chest was a 15% speed boost, which I used to get ahead of the char, and then I didn't have any problem. Well, I still had about an hour's worth of work to get it, but I didn't have the same problem that other people were having. I know somebody posted a link on Reddit to somebody who was a char that chose the name In Your Way and chose the widest body format possible and made it as tall as possible. Oh, talk about trolling. It was still pretty funny. All right,
I was trying to be nice while doing the tower, and I took all my clothes off because I think if I'm a Norn, I'm really big, but at least I'm not bulky, and nobody noticed and nobody said thank you, but I also didn't finish, so.
That's what she said? I don't know. But I have to say, that might be the only context in which you could possibly say, I wanted to be nice and polite, so I took my clothes off. All right, so Halloween, that's great. We'll probably touch on it some more next week based on whatever happens tomorrow or today if you're listening to this or watching it on the 31st. Anyway, dev post, Arenanet testing field of view improvements. Have you guys seen this? Did anybody try it out?
I did.
No.
The PvP guy tried it out. You bet your ass he did. He wants to see more stuff going on around him. Tell us about it, Quell. Did you notice a difference?
The first day, yeah, when I first did it, it's like really, really noticeable because of how far it zooms out. Your guy looks a lot smaller, but after that, it's really hard to just recognize in general. And then another thing to keep in mind is that if you log out and like switch characters, you have to restart your client for the field of vision to be reset again.
Oh, really? It only happens when you go directly from the link into the game. So if you do a character select logout, that I didn't know.
Yeah, well, Jay Petrie on IRC was saying that it's a bug. I don't know if they fixed it or not, but he was saying if you didn't notice the change from like switching characters, you have to go ahead and restart your client. 6'5"
in the chat says it's freaking awesome and he's not sick anymore. And that is, for people who are not familiar with what the FOV issue is about, it's usually framed in a way where certain people get motion sickness because the angle of your view in the game doesn't match up to what your brain thinks it should be based on the size of the screen and the distance from it. So this will hopefully help those people, and it definitely, I think, helps a lot of people. It's definitely noticeable, as you said, Quilp, but I think it's just plain awesome, and I'm glad that they're sort of responding to the fans. There's a link in the show notes if you guys want to check it out and figure out how to do it yourself. This is a test. You have to launch your game with a special command line argument at the end of the shortcut, so it's sort of still in beta, but as far as I can tell, there's no issues. Alrighty, not much to say on that front. It's good, all around good thing. So let's move on to the Warrior, ladies and gentlemen, the Warrior. the Master of Arms. Is anybody else disappointed that he doesn't get 3 different weapons to switch between? Because I am still massively disappointed that I don't get to switch between 3 weapon sets. I have so many of them.
We don't get much else.
I know. That's really it. I don't know if that would be OP. I don't even know how they do it. It'd have to make it one of your like mechanic buttons. Like F1 is your adrenaline, F2 and F3 and F4 are your 3 weapons. I would totally go with that. That just feels so much more fluid and awesome. Dontain, what made you roll a warrior?
I'm really stupid, and the warrior class is for people like me. You beat things up with things in your hands. I've played the entire time I played WoW for 7 years, and I was like, you know what? When I started beta testing Guild Wars 2, I played it, and obviously I was like, the hell am I doing? How do I play this game? But I loved it. And my big problem, I'm like the opposite of Qual. I know what I can do. I don't know what other classes. I mean, I have an idea, right? But I don't. All I need to know is what my skills are, and I love it. And that's one of the things, the major things that I love about it is it's a simple-minded class, but because they can use so many weapons and there's so many weapon combinations, it kind of gives you more to tool around with. And with the improvements in gameplay as time goes on, like in one of the patches, they made Tremor something that you can press while running now. So it's like, I think it's your offhand mace, one-handed mace. It's like a shockwave that comes out and like knocks people down in a line. You can do it while running now, which is kind of cool. So as long as they stay focused on that and keep improving the class, I'll always continue to play it. But my friends play Mesmer. They're like, I can do these things. And I'm just like, I have no clue what you're doing, man. Is it magic? I don't use magic.
A little bit of magic. So, Friar Tuck, why did you decide to roll a warrior?
Because when I started playing Guild Wars 1, that's the only thing my group didn't have. and as Dontain said, I subscribe to the philosophy of hit it, and if it gets back up, hit it 2 more times to knock it down.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Quelp, did you have some awesome PvP-related reason like, well, I crunched the numbers, and it turns out that the Warrior's 100 Blades does more damage per second than 93% of the other weapons in the game?
No, actually, I actually went with Warrior because of Guild Wars 1 as well. I was Warrior. Okay. I played Shock Warrior for my team long time ago.
I'm not,
with Vanilla,
I have to say,
yeah.
I have no idea why I just gave you a British nerd accent right there. I apologize to the Brits and the nerds and the Quelps. I'm not sure which one of you I offended more, but I apologize to everyone. So, I decided to play a warrior so that I could talk about it intelligently on this show, and we could see how well that's gone. So, actually, no, that's not true. Warrior's been sort of the thing I've had in my head as my secondary class after I master Elementalist. It's the one that I've wanted to level up more than any of the other ones that I care about. And the reason for me has always been, it's like opposite of the Elementalist, right? It's a complete switch. Like the Elementalist, you have to keep track of all these skills going on at the same time, and you gotta switch back and forth and do all this stuff. And it's all about kiting and dodging, and your survival depends on how well you can link your skills and kite and keep them slowed and out of your way and not let them hit you. And then the Warrior is entirely the opposite, because he looks at you and says, oh, you scratched the paint on my armor. How cute. Have a hammer in the face. You know, I like that end of the spectrum as well. So I decided to go to 2 extremes, really. So I guess that having been said, I want to go on to Quelp. Are you satisfied with the Warrior? We kind of mentioned earlier, it sounded like you don't play it very often in PvP.
I don't play it just because we're running... Well, Warrior's like really, really good at single target bursting, right? Like everyone knows about the Frenzy 100 Blades. It's been nerfed twice. I don't really think it needed to be nerfed that much to begin with, but it just outputs a lot of damage very quickly. But like maps like Forest and even Kylo, it's more like AoE goes a lot further because capture points are really small. So in something like Foe Fire, it's the really big open middle point map. The AoE doesn't carry as much weight because it's easier to get out of it. So that's why I haven't been playing Warrior that much. We've been running more AoE style comps. But in general, I think the Warrior is in a good place. I don't think it needs to be like adjusted much at all. It's always been effective. It's still effective. It's just not seen as frequently right now because of the meta.
Okay, fair enough. What about you, Friar Tuck? Is there anything about the warrior that you're not happy with? Is there something you're elated with?
I don't know. I'd like to see, like, your offhand be able to change. I don't really know how to state that. I mean, like I said, I had told you I run with a warhammer or a warhorn a lot, and I'd like to be able to maybe see two different styles of horns, maybe, because the charge and the boost get a little old after a while, and it's fun to get there quickly, but you can't really do anything once you get there with it.
Yeah, and that's something I kind of been thinking when I've been leveling up my warrior is, damn, I miss my elementalist having permanent swiftness. Like, this PvE stuff is crap when I have to walk around at normal mortal speed. This is unacceptable. Where's my warhorn? But then I don't want to put the warhorn on because I love my offhand axe. I spin to win, man. I just destroy things.
I love it.
All right, Dontain, what do you think? You got any welches on the warrior you don't like?
No, Tuck makes a point though that Warhorn it's really just a horn. Like,
it's a swiftness machine.
It's another one of those examples where when I started really looking into the game, and I understand like maces, axes, swords. I understand that, but I kind of had a problem with horns. But I mean, it does a job, but it's
Listen, his shouts are magic.
Yeah, well, like the fact that you get out of like slows and stuff with it is great, and I don't know. I just I think that his point, that Tuck's point about there being like another kind of horn or something that you can do something special with, or it gives you a little bit more of an offensive thing. But I mean, it's really hard to suggest changes to this game because it's a very set in stone kind of game. We was talking about that with a friend earlier today, where they're like, "Well, you're playing a lot of WoW right now. Does that mean you don't like Guild Wars 2? I'm like, no. The thing I like about Guild Wars 2 is it doesn't really look like they're going to change a lot of my skills. Like, 100 Blades isn't going to get changed into Pansy Blades because, it's like, or something. Like, you're going to have the same skills. Like, Rush isn't going to get replaced with something else. It just doesn't feel like the PvP dev team, because they have two different teams that work on changing classes and balancing issues and stuff. That's another thing I like, because they have a whole PvP group that sits there and goes, what do you think they should change? And the PvE guys will be like, well, this. It's like, well, no, that'll screw up the PvP. But I was talking to my friend, and in World of Warcraft, they gave warriors at level 90 a skill called Avatar in the talents, which is really cool. And in the patch, it's going to be boring because they're changing it. And that's one of those things that happens in WoW that I don't like. Like, something that I'm used to doesn't change. So suggesting things like a new Warhorn or changing up the Warhorn it's a difficult thing to think about how they would. They'll have to make the first move if they're going to have to add or subtract from classes, and then we'll see what they go for from there.
Definitely. All right, so Dontain, what is the most fun or the coolest looking weapon combination? Regardless of effectiveness, which would you like to be the most effective because you love using it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't use Warhammer great maces. I'm not sure how you Guild Wars 2
guys. Warhammers is what they call
Warhammers.
Two-handed hammer, yep.
I love them. I should use them more often. I just don't have a cool looking one, so I don't. And I don't PvP. So it's one of those things that's like, I love it. I love what it does, everything. But I really like, and this is going to be biased because I got that skin, but I like Greatsword. Because
Great swords get all the best skins, though, man. They have all the best ones. Everybody wants Twilight, and they want daytime, nighttime,
sunrise.
Sunrise. There we go.
Daylight savings time.
They want daylight savings time. The great sword. No, they want those ones because they look so badass.
I think the Juggernaut. Somebody was telling me earlier today that Juggernaut actually is like liquid metal or something,
that's
and
right,
it changes.
That's true.
They said it changes your armor or something, so you look like liquid metal.
Like T1000, yeah.
I'm not sure, yeah, but that's like freaking awesome. But
that's true.
Yeah, great swords. I like them, but the thing about the Warhammers is that I like the burst skill because you can just jump across and stun people. It's a very, very important thing for warriors to be able to do that.
I like any skill which knocks somebody back because the animations of things getting like knocked on their ass in this game is so satisfying because I don't know what Arenanet did. They're wizards of some variety. not elementalists, like code animation wizards, because they've done what so many other MMOs could never get right, and that's where I slash a random sort of generic middle section of the orc in front of me, and the orc does a generic random damage animation. When you connect somebody with a lightning hammer as an elementalist, or with a big hammer as a two-handed hammer as a warrior, and you do this big wind up and you smack them and they go flying backwards, so satisfying because it's not done anywhere else. Maybe it is now, but not since I stopped playing WoW. You know what I mean?
You can't imagine that they motion captured some poor guy just getting pushed back by a giant wind machine. Like, good,
Yeah.
did he flop? How many times did he bounce? 3, perfect. Put it in.
If they did, I want to see video of it.
He bounced to
Balls
the
all
ground
over
literally
him.
like 4
Yeah.
times. It's disgusting.
And they did that for all the animals, too. So did they bring in, like, a stork for all the moas that I mowed down with my lightning hammer?
Or I think my favorite is on the topic of like animations and stuff. I think whenever anything dies via electricity is very, very
Oh,
funny.
yeah. Except unless it's cute. Then I feel really bad. Like, if I fry a bunny rabbit with electricity and it does this whole sad, like... and it's like, no, that's not what I meant. I wanted to use fire. I'm so sorry.
You got to get your one-shot maximum points somehow, though, Bridger.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. All right, Quelp, what do you think? Regardless of effectiveness, what's your favorite to use? What's your favorite combination?
It's a tie between Hammer and Greatsword. I like Hammer just for all the CC it provides, and it's funny to stunlock people for like 14 seconds, which is possible like once every like a minute in PvP. It's kind of hard to pull off, but you can do it. It's pretty close to 14 seconds. But Greatsword, because numbers are always fun.
Absolutely. I really like the mace axe combo. I find myself using that more than a lot of other things because the offhand axe is like damage central. It's like, oh, okay, did you want to give you fury for 8 to 12 seconds? No problem. And then you want to do a move that hits things about 1,000 times? Go for it. And then your main weapon has a block / counterattack. It has a stun, and then it has an ultimate stun that you have on your adrenaline move. I was just like, I'll take it. So I stun them, I fury, and spin in circles. It's just so cool. Best combo ever. All right, so that's me. Do any of you guys do a lot of World versus World Warrior?
I do a little bit. I don't do a whole bunch.
What do you see the Warriors' role in World versus World? I mean, they could probably have multiple roles, but what do you usually take? A support, some kind of a lockdown, stick them in the ground, they can't get out of your way?
Usually when I'm doing World v World, I have a Necro with me, so I immediately start functioning as bodyguard, and I'll use most of the time. I don't use Greatsword at all. As a matter of fact, I don't even have one in my inventory. I'll go axe primary, and I'll usually go sword in my offhand, just because I love that F1 360 / finishing move with the axe. That is one of my favorite animations on the warrior.
Yep. And not to mention, I love the sword offhand, now that you mention that one, because you throw it at somebody and then yank it out to do more damage.
Exactly.
I forgot
you
about
get
that
you
one.
get a block as well there
Yeah, that's right.
with
the
an
parry.
auto attack.
Yep. That's very cool. So, yeah, that's definitely... And you mentioned not using the Greatsword in World versus World. I could definitely see that because it doesn't have any real CC, if I remember correctly, yes? The Greatsword doesn't have any lockdown of any variety.
Yep.
It's just pure damage, which is why a lot of people love using it for PvE, because for whatever reason, MOAs never run away. I don't know why. So, what about PvP, Quelp? What's the combinations that are most useful in a player versus player environment, like a structured PvP?
Well, a lot of DPS, I guess I'll start off with Bunker Warriors. They used to be pretty common, but they made a change in BWE3, and so not a lot of people picked up on it, but to keep your presence on a point...
Can you describe Bunker Warrior? What's the role there? What does
so
that
a bunker,
entail?
a bunker sounds like what it's supposed to be. You're just going to sit on a point and not die. Like, that's your goal. And they were considered one of the strongest builds of the warrior. The reason why you don't see them anymore is A, Guardians are better at it now, but B, the way it works mechanically for PvP changed from BW2 to 3. So in BW2, what you could do is that if you knocked down a person or stunned them, it did not count them as being on the point. However, in BW3, they changed it so that you actually have to be physically off the point, and the warrior only has one punting skill, which is that hammer 4, and knocks people back. So the bunkers lose their effectiveness because they can't keep the points. Like, if you're going to go up against a guardian, you're going to go up against an elementalist, they'll shove you off and keep you off of it much more frequently than you can do it to them. So you lose your point, it gets neutralized, and then you're doing nothing for your team because you have no killing potential.
So let me just ask, because I don't play a whole lot of warrior. Actually, I don't play a whole lot of structured PvP either. So if the goal of the warrior is to, say, defend a particular point, like Henge on the Forest of Niflhel.
Yeah.
So he's sitting on that point. If an enemy walks onto the point and they're both on it, does the bar move at all?
No. So
what's the reason that a bunker warrior would need to knock him out of the circle?
Well, what ends up happening is that if you get knocked off of it, it only takes 5 seconds to lose your control over it. So if you, for whatever reason, you get knocked off, like Guardians and Ellies have ways of keeping you off longer than you can get back in sometimes. So if you have no way of getting back on the point immediately, you'll have a high chance of getting it neutralized. And over time, if it's bunker versus bunker, like two people who can't kill each other, it's about who will just simply keep you off the point longest. And if it's your own defensive point, the goal is for you to keep presence on it no matter what, right? So like if they're fighting you on it but you have control of it, then it's perfectly fine if you just stay like that for the rest of the game. But if it's neutralized, you just lost the closest point, like your secure point, and then you're not doing your job anymore. So that's why you don't see many bunker warriors anymore.
Okay, so what is a more common sort of role that the warrior fills in PvP?
So like in PvE, the Greatsword Burst is really strong. It's been complained about enough times, but usually people were combining with like Axe or other DPS. Instead, it's being combined more frequently with Sword and Shield. Shield is required simply because you get 3 seconds of invuln and a 1 second stun on it. But the reason why people are running a sword now is in the arms trait line. The 25 minor is really, really strong, actually. It gives you 10% bonus damage on bleeding foes. And the sword naturally has a bleed on its first 2 hits. So as you're hitting a person, you're going to just give yourself 10% damage boost. And then the burst skill on the sword, you can swap out of it as soon as you cast it. So it's a 4-second immobilize at level 3. So you use your burst skill, and you can swap into your greatsword immediately after. And you won't get the bleed stacks, but the immobilize will stay on. And so you can you get a 4-second route to cast your 100 blades if you don't have anything set up for it. And immobilize is probably the strongest condition in the game easily. It's like one of the most guaranteed ways of shutting down a person, regardless of what role they are.
Gotcha. Oh, that's a very clever thing. So you're talking about the adrenaline, the burst skill on the regular sword, which is nominally flurry. And what that does is it immobilizes somebody in front of you so that you can strike them a gazillion times. It's like 100 blades plus, essentially. But what you're saying is that's all sort of slow condition damage bleeds. So what you might want to do instead is utilize the immobilize and either run away, get on the point, or just go straight into 100 blades and do even more damage burst-wise.
Yeah, like that's the main purpose of it, because no one uses the greatsword burst skill. It's absolutely terrible. So.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What is it? It's the single swipe that gives you fury, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't do that
Arcing
much
Slice
damage.
is so bad, it's not very good.
Strike your foe with an uppercut
gives you
and gain fury. But it doesn't give
you do
fury
damage,
for
you do
quite
like
a while.
moderate. It's moderate damage, though.
but
You can swap to an
everybody-
axe and hit Eviscerate and do a shitload more.
Exactly. Like, everyone runs Signet of Rage anyways, so you have a lot of Fury uptime no matter what.
Oh, okay.
It makes no difference.
Signet of Rage. I've never seen that one. Rage! That one
that's
gives you...
the,
you
elite.
activate it to get Fury, Might, and Swiftness. That's the elite one. Okay.
For like 30 seconds. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Really? Yeah, it's 30 seconds of Fury. Wow, that is
the
elite.
best one. Like,
Yeah.
why would you turn into a bear, a raven, or
Because
why
I'm
would you
a bear! I don't know.
I never understood Rampage at all, and again, I don't really PvP, but I saw that and I'm like, it's a cute thing to do, but this is clearly better.
Yeah.
Dontain's going to hate me because all I do is run around with the snow leopard or the banner on.
The banner is good for PvE. That's what I like about
Especially because it
some
revives people. I mean, in World versus World, that can be really useful too. If your allies are going down around you, and all they needed was a few more seconds to get out of range, bam, banner down. They scramble up and get away. I mean, so that
it's
has
good
its
if you have,
uses.
in scenarios in PvE where if you have like 2 warriors and you're like, how about you run banner just in case? It's like, oh, okay,
Right.
because it's a buff too. It does do damage.
And
On the
use
topic of
weapons.
on the topic of the world PvP though, I was getting a little jealous of Quap being so informational or like very professional with his understanding of everything. So I wanted to input this really quickly. According to the guys in my guild that run World versus World, if you're a warrior and you want to run like whatever combination of stuff you want to run, this is what they do. They go and they get all the power, toughness, vitality gear from like Ascalon Catacombs, and they just never die. So for like World versus World, where there's the team fighting in World versus World isn't really like the cleanest thing on the planet, but we have a couple
Mostly
of guys
because you can't see who you're.
no, because people run away and there's like this phasing. There's like this weird phase. Players, like if a player is 20 yards away, you can't see them, and I don't understand that. But what our guys, because we have like 3 guys who have Twilight or Sunrise, and they love to World versus World, and they know that they're going to get attacked, so they run all toughness, vitality, power armor from dungeons because you can't craft it. And then they put soldier crests in all their gear, and they just run around, and they're unkillable. And people were like, get him! He's got to let it. And so all these people, so they basically taunt. They just basically like Ramus a bunch of guys to them, and then we just kill them all. And it's awesome. And so, yeah.
That's
World
fantastic.
versus World perspective, as it is compared. I didn't even know what a Bunker Warrior was. That's really cool.
I had never thought of legendaries being used as a taunt, but you're absolutely right. We need to use that more, but the legendary greatswords are the really visual ones, the ones you can definitely see. Like, we have a couple people, I think somebody has the longbow, the sort of nature longbow that leaves flowers in its trail as you're running away. That one's a lot harder to see. The rainbow, though, would be one of the best taunt ones, because who wants to be getting it? Am I getting hit with unicorn rainbow? I'm getting that son of a bitch. Anyway.
There's one of them's, I don't know what it's called even, but I think it's like it's a disco ball on a stick. I think it's Scepter.
Is it the mace or the scepter? Oh, I don't know.
what it's.
I haven't seen them all yet.
The mace, I think it is.
It might be the mace.
It's
I
the
think
dump-
doesn't
it
it?
is
No. It's a
the hands
globe,
down.
right? Isn't it a globe? It kind of looks like.
Looks like a disco ball on a stick. Like literally, it's like they're sitting there at the office, like it's legendaries. Disco ball on a stick. Sure, whatever. We need to get this. We need to get the launch date ready.
All right, so I'm going to ask each individually, which is the, we kind of said horn. So aside from horn, what's the worst weapon that you just never want to use? Like, nah. I'm guessing we're going to hear rifle or longbow here at some point. What do you think, Quelp?
Longbow. Actually, no. I like longbow more. I would say rifle personally.
All right, what's wrong with the rifle?
The rifle's in a really awkward spot where it doesn't know what it wants to be. So at least with sword, like final thrust, the 3rd hit of this one skill, the chain, it can still crit for like 3k on a power burst build. So even though it applies bleed, you still have a lot of power behind each hit. But like with the rifle 1 skill, the thing does no damage. So like the 1 skill is clearly supposed to be condition based, and then the burst skill is clearly power based. And then volley, the 3 skill on rifle, is power based. So it's kind of like, why are you autoing anything? Like the thing is going to be literally used for 2 skills and then you swap out of it. So it's just, I don't like how it doesn't have a focus.
I got you.
You can always use the number 1 on the rifle to let somebody else know that you're not dead yet and they need to come kill you. I've always found that was effective for me in World v World.
Just so you know, pew!
Still over here pinging at you.
Now, the thing that I was thinking about, and I don't know, Dontain, you tell me, the longbow obviously has its theme, and its theme is sort of AoE range, right? You do a bunch of, multiple, the combustive shot, the big burst attack is this huge AoE that lights things on fire. And can somebody explain to me why it is that when a warrior picks up a longbow, he's like, you know what this needs? This wooden weapon needs more fire and explosions. How does that combination get entered into, like, Guild Wars cultural... I'm going to shoot fire out of this wooden bow. Like, where did that come from? But everything it does, you've got dual shot is the only thing that doesn't include fire. Combustive shot, fan of fire. Arcing arrow that explodes on impact. Smoldering arrow. And then the last one is pinned down. You shoot an arrow through his foot into the ground. That has to be one of the best described ones by the image. Anyway, I got way off topic. Why the fire? Anybody know? What's going on here? Is that the only AoE?
I think it's clearly just there to be different, and it's probably more of a proponent of cross-profession combinations for PvE. I'm not sure if cross-profession combinations, as far as like the fire burst skill is even used all that much. I can see certain cross-profession combinations in structured PvP being very good, and my money was on Quap saying, I don't like the bow, but then I was like, wait, the bow hasn't immobilized, and he just said it's the best damn thing in the game, so of course the rifle sucks.
Well, I was going to ask you, Dontain, to me, the longbow, obviously, with its ability to hit multiple things, seems like a pretty good deal, because as far as I can tell, it can also do pretty good damage to single targets.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like, when you talk about using a ranged weapon as a warrior, do you just want to sit in the back and do damage? Because sometimes you really don't want to be in on certain fights that are like, a lot of champions are just, they have like a berserk thing where they just like, they're unstoppable and they get 25 stacks of this berserk thing where, like, if for whatever reason, because we don't understand how threat works in this game, it's just like, whatever. And they could just be like, oh, you're dead. So you're like, it's almost as if when they hit you, you should get a mail from somebody saying you should use a rifle, because there's like, it's telegraphable. Like at that point, the thing's like, I'm going to kill you. The back, like, cool, but I don't know that much about using the bow because I don't ever use it. I like it. It's very cool. It's very
April Fool's Day, every single time you get a champion using a burst skill and it hits you, it sends you a class-specific mail. A bird flies down to your corpse and says, should he use a rifle or should he use a staff? I totally see them trolling people like that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Got out of topic here. So, back to the topic of worst thing ever. So do you guys usually run with a ranged weapon? Quelp, do you run with at least one ranged weapon in PvP, or do you sometimes run with melee all the way on both sides of your set?
It's just pure melee. You don't worry about range. Like, again, I don't like the rifle, and then longbow's condition, and while the damage is fine, it's too easily wiped since it's all like either burn or bleed. So it just doesn't do enough there. So it's just pretty much melee on both sets.
So do you focus on closers and your utilities like the charge and maybe the bola ball things that slow people down, whatever it's called?
Usually it's either going to be shouts or bull's charge. So.
Okay, shouts to give you swiftness or slow the enemy.
The shouts, if you're going to go shouts, it's usually for great justice and the shake it off and fear me.
I hear people say that all the time. It sounds
you run
so
all
impressive.
Three. And that's mainly because you get like Runes of the Soldier gives you like removes an additional condition AoE wise on top of your shouts. So like for great justice will not only give your team fury and might, it's now going to also condition wipe on top of that. So that's the main reason why you run 3 shouts. But in terms of like if you're going in for burst or whatever, Bull's Charge, Frenzy, and Balance Stance is the most common combination. But you can usually change Bull's Charge for something wherever you want.
All right. Friar Tuck, what do you think about utilities? Is there anything in there that's like, man, this is the one I gotta have in all my builds. It's such a good skill. I really wish I could carry it all the time.
Quelp hit it right on the head. It's shake it off.
Shake it off!
Not only am I healing a condition on me, but I'm healing a condition on everybody else in the area.
Man, I wish I had that on my elementalist.
That and Stomp's my new favorite. I've been messing around with that a lot.
Stomp, launch nearby foes.
Oh, that makes kids mad.
Okay, so Dontain, do you agree? Are those your favorites to use in your utilities? What do you normally stick in there?
When I run around and farm ore, because that's how I make money in the game, shake it off it's always there because I just ignore all mobs when I'm trying to run because my idea is to farm. So that's when I use it. But if there was like one thing that I'd always want on my bar, it'd be Frenzy because it's good for PvE.
Quickness.
You don't really want to pop Frenzy in like World versus World because kids will just kill you. But Frenzy. I mean, it's like it's for Great Justice, Frenzy, and then I use Signet of Fury, but that's only for having the adrenaline for the 9% extra crit in the discipline tree. So that's really it. Like, shake it off. That's the one thing that you can say about every utility skill for the warrior is that there's always something good. Even the stupid banners that some people are like, that's stupid, never use, they're dumb. But like, it's not. None of them are as bad as Rampage.
Which is the ultimate.
Rampage might as well change you into a teddy bear because at least it'll be cool looking. You're just a giant bear and you just throw people.
And
like,
knowing the warrior, that bear would be on fire and controlled by a 12-year-old girl.
But then they'd have to. Yeah, I was gonna say. You have to worry about getting sued. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I've always had a problem with the ultimates or even the utility skills that replace your main bar because, to me, like an elementalist, I think of the conjure abilities, and I'm like, well, I could take something that I would get as an additional cooldown to all these other things on my bar, or I can take something which replaces the others, which means that this particular skill slot is essentially no longer there. Like, I'm missing an extra skill that I can use in my burst. But that's, I don't know, that's just me talking from an elemental's point of view. And that Rampage kind of makes me feel the same thing. Like, there's so many other awesome things, like Signet of Rage. Like, I'd just rather have these buffs for 30 seconds. A battle is over in 10 seconds, and then I can fight 2 more. You're right. I don't know how I could have possibly thought of anything else. Anyway, I never got to 30 yet, so I wouldn't have looked at it. But, all right, so there's, you guys said there's not that many really bad ones, but the banners seem to be the one that are panned by most warriors. Like, nah, I'm not really going to take the banners.
I think it depends on the situation. As a matter of fact, fighting the Mad King, I've been using the banner at defense a whole bunch going in there because it helps everybody else in the group. But yes, I mean, in a PvP situation or even a World v World situation, you're wasting your time, and it takes you, I think, 3 seconds to drop it on the ground. And by then, you know, somebody like Quelp's going to be on you, and you're not going to be moving anyway.
Wait a minute, you mean you put it on the ground? I thought you were supposed to poke people with the one skill.
Well, that's
no, you swing at them with the number 2 skill, Bridger. Come on now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Push foes back with a staggering blow. Inspire near allies and gain swiftness. Now, are these skills the same for every banner?
No.
They're different for each one. Now, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't seem like you'd ever use those active abilities. Because they're just fundamentally not as good as your main weapons, right?
One of them gives you stability, and I don't know if that's the War Banner, the Elite one, but the only reason I bring up the banners and people not liking banners is because when you go like to do karma farming, kids are just spamming F to loot, and they end up picking up banners, and that's the only thing. But like banners fall under what would be commonly referred to as like complementary abilities. Like if you have one warrior that has one banner with somebody who doesn't have a banner, they complement each other in combat or in battle or whatever. So they're not terrible. They have use and they're great. But you don't see that many people running with them because they're just like, oh, I just picked up another banner. Because again, they all do different stuff, and then they just hit 4 and put it back. They're like, fuck banners.
I think it's just a lower end stepchild of the Guardians, enhancements and stuff is really all it is.
Speaking of the banners, I think Friar Tuck, you brought up a good point when you're using it with the Mad King. The dungeons are one of the only places I can think, like a super banner warrior. Like you start a fight with a boss and he's like, bam, everybody tough, bam, everybody crit, bam, everybody powerful. Like just fight around the 3 banners. Like that's one of the only situations where you can really control where a fight happens is in those dungeons because it's not a huge area. What kind of radius do these banners give for these buffs? 600 for defense? That is tiny. I really expected like 1,200. How are you going to be fighting around a dungeon?
It gives you about half the range of what a Mesmer can hit you at.
Yeah. I can't. Okay, never mind. If they were 1,200, I think it would work out better for them.
I think the War Banner is a wider radius. I'm not
sure. Battle Standard, it
War
might be.
Banner's real big, yeah.
Battle Standard says effective radius 600.
Okay.
Look at the Elite one, the War Banner.
That's the Battle Standard. That's the one
Battle Standard. Yep.
Yeah, it's the Elite.
I thought it was bigger than that too.
Huh. I mean, it does grant stability, fury, and might for 3 seconds. Does that mean that's when...
It's a ticking buff. It just constantly
recharges. So it's essentially infinite. however long it lasts, right?
That's old. That's old.
this
It
is
used to be.
old.
Like, back when it used to do that, every single warrior ran it because it was easily the best freaking thing in the world. Having a
I love how his reaction's like, no way, no, it is not
if
infinite.
it was, I'd be
no.
all about Battle Standard would still be on my bar if it was like that. Like, that thing was irreplaceable. It was the best skill in the game until they nerfed it.
I see. It says stability is only granted for 1 pulse when the banner is first summoned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, but you can pick the banner up and then you can hit another. You can hit one of the skills that gives stability to people again.
Yeah.
That's
For a period of time.
Really,
Way
which is
too
nice. It doesn't want a
micromanagement.
warrior that's just standing there picking up and setting banners down every 4 seconds. That kind of defeats the purpose.
It's like, guys, I got this. He's like,
Right. You guys just cover me while I pick this up and set it back down.
wow, that's the new meta right there. All right, so it's good. I learned something new. I didn't realize that the tooltip had that stealth nerf in it. I wonder if that's just because wasn't there one thing that they changed in a patch note only for PvP? Was it about the warrior stability? I don't remember which thing it was. Chat room, help me out. I know in one of the most recent patch notes there was something that says we changed this skill but only for PvP, and I don't remember if this is it or not. But maybe it's not. Anyway, so we talked about elites. What about the down skills? Because, I mean, how do you compare those to other classes? I don't know how much of the other classes you play, but is this, like, weaker, stronger, average? What do you think, Dontain?
You don't want to ask me about the down state. I'm not the right person to ask about it. I know this is my
Is that
opinion.
because you never die? Because of how many YouTube
no,
subscribers
I
you
am a
have?
god after all. I don't even PvP. No, my opinion about the downstate is it mirrors many people's opinions who play like World of Warcraft PvP. But I'm not dumb. I know that the downstate is fantastic, and that if you know how to use it correctly, and you're aware of everyone's downstate abilities, then you can do well. But all I'll say is this: if you are a warrior leveling up, you want to get that tier 2 master. What is it? Master adept? Yeah, master trait called Sweet Revenge. You will never die. I mean, you'll go down, but you hit Vengeance and you will always get up, and you will level faster than anything. I don't have it right now, and I normally do. I miss it. I'm glad there's a little bug in the game right now that sometimes when you hit Vengeance, you will actually rally on accident. So that's
I thought it had a really low chance to rally regardless, and that skill just made it 100%.
I don't think it says that in the tooltip. And I've played MMOs for so long that maybe there's a little bug in there or whatever, but like if it doesn't say it in the tooltip, I don't put a lot of faith in something that's not really there. But it is. I mean, it is there. You do sometimes rally. So, yeah.
There's a bug listed on the wiki. Dying during Vengeance and respawning at a waypoint before the effect ends will cause your character to be defeated again.
You'll die again. I learned that yesterday. I saw that. I was like, why am I dead? And then I did it again, and I learned, because you waypoint, and then you still have Vengeance on you. And you're like, because Vengeance is this cool buff. It's like a bunch of smoke and smoldering ash and stuff comes out of you, so that people know, like, he's got Vengeance, he's going to die. But then you waypoint, and then your character just falls over dead, so you have to pay twice. It's terrible.
Chat room saved me. Apparently the thing I was thinking of was the Guardian skill, Save Yourself, is the one that was split between PvP and PvE. So, completely unrelated. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the Guardian episode at some point. Anyway, there is a note here that says there is a chance that your character will rally and lose the effect when killing a foe while in Vengeance. And that's what I've noticed while leveling it up. It seems like about 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 12 times, if I Vengeance, I will actually rally when I kill something.
Yeah. You know, I am corrected. It does say that in there.
Okay. So,
I've been using Sweet Revenge for so long that I forgot that it does say that. 100% is way better than sometimes.
Yeah. I think it's somewhere in the order of 10%. So
it used to be 10. I think they buffed it to 25 for PvE people, I think was the reason behind it. And then a bunch of PvP people complained about it.
Because it was too strong in PvP.
Yeah, getting one in, because quickness stomps makes like a 3 or 4 second casting time to finish a person becomes literally 2 seconds or less. So people will just pop Vengeance, pop Frenzy, and start spamming the crap out of their use button to try to stomp people, and just try to get the lucky Vengeance or whatever rally proc off of it. So
Vengeance is a very cool ability, and I think it fits the warrior's sort of theme really well. I like the hammer toss knocking people down because, like I said before, the knockdown animations are just fantastic. A lot could toss a hammer at somebody, and just to see him go, just fall back, it's great. So I kind of like the kit that the warrior has when he's down, especially the Vengeance too, especially when you have that chance to come back if it's 10 or 25% somewhere in that range. I really like that. And I think it's on par with most of the other ones, though I haven't played too many besides the Mesmer and the Elementalists to really know their down states very well.
That, and I like the ability to knock people down and interrupt them at the same time.
Ooh,
Yeah.
It's fun.
Okay, so I think auxiliary skill bars. We don't need to see that. Let's talk about traits, because the warrior has 5 trait lines. The first one is all about focusing on dodging, physical utility skills, and brute force, which is odd because it's based around dodging, but it gives you power. Like, you should try to avoid getting hit because you're going to hit back harder, I guess. The second one focuses on critical hits and use of condition damage, specifically bleeding. The third one is it favors enduring damage. The defense tree, obviously. That's just what it does. You just don't die. Tactics is the line that gives you health, but also is sort of a healing, soothing, ally buffing support line, it looks like. And discipline is about your burst skill. It's increasing your burst skills abilities, damage specifically, as well as improving adrenaline gain when switching weapons in combat. So, let me open by saying that I never really got to level more than 12. So I didn't really take a look at the trait lines very well, so I'm going to lean on you guys. Quelp, PvP, is there a line in here that you feel is something you should probably take 30 points in all the time, like guaranteed?
Not. Well, I guess it depends what you want to do, but like just general rules, you don't go beyond like 20 in the first line. You don't arms. It's either you go 10 points in or you go 30 points in or 25 points in. You don't go in the middle. It's either just one or the other.
Interesting.
Defense is the same idea. It's like 10 points in or 30 points in. You don't like the master line is okay, but it's not like, you're only getting 100 extra defense and 100 extra healing, so it's not worth it. It's either you're all in or just 10 in. Tactics, you should go 30 if you want to do the healing stuff, and then discipline 30 if you want to do the damages.
Oh yeah, burst skill recharges 20% faster and costs less adrenaline? How does that work? It doesn't use
It
your
just
entire
costs
bar?
2
Yeah.
adrenaline bars. It'll give you the same damage as the 3 adrenaline bars.
Oh, now that's interesting.
But then you have to, like, there's really cool ways to build warriors as far as, like, stuff you can do in discipline. Because
Yeah.
I've tinkered around with, like, gaining adrenaline faster when you crit with, like, axes, so you can, like, generate a lot of rage or a lot of adrenaline quickly and then use it. But the problem with that is there's always an innate 10-second cooldown on your burst skill. So, I think you can lower it somehow, but you still will generate more adrenaline. But the cool thing about warriors is you can swap weapons in that whatever your other weapon is, as long as there's a different weapon in your main hand, that other burst skill is a completely separate skill.
Yeah.
With its own individual cooldown. So you can go back in there. And so I give discipline a lot of love. I love when I was learning about traits in the beta, and as the game was, as we were like scrounging for scraps of information, the old trait system sucked. The new trait system was great, and the fact they put a line in just for warrior-specific stuff, and it's not a pigeonhole trait line. Like, you don't look at it and go, well, I have to get this because it's warrior-specific things. That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and I was looking at this fast hands weapon recharging time 5 seconds faster. Wow, that means 4-second weapon swap. Is that right? Isn't it 9 by
5.
default?
It's a 5-second swap, I believe.
Okay, so it's 10-second default.
But
I have
bugged.
reservations with it. Yeah, it's completely bugged.
Oh, it's bugged.
I wish
right
it
now.
worst. Yeah, I wish what the bug is. Well,
you
go
have
ahead.
to-
You can tell them.
You have to literally die. So if you are always downed, the first time you swap will stick in 10 seconds. So like when you're messing around or something, someone has to actually kill you first, so you start getting 5-second swaps.
That's weird.
And see, I've experienced that buff in a similar way, but different. I've noticed that your first initial swap when getting into combat with a new enemy is always going to be 10 seconds. But after that, like if in boss fights and stuff, or if you go into dungeons, it goes down to 5. But every time that you're out of combat and then you go back into combat, you get that 10-second swap. And that's a really deep trait. Like, you got to go far in to get that. And it's kind of like,
I think
well,
it's the 15
please
point,
fix.
I think.
Yeah.
It's the 15-point minor trait, looks like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then gain might for 10 seconds on weapon swap. So that seems very interesting line. Okay, is there any line which is like something you just avoid like the plague, or do they all have their uses in particular builds?
I would say they're all useful and like whatever you're gonna do. Like the nice thing about Warrior, yeah, you can use 30 and almost any of them if you really wanted to, and it'd still be fine.
Are there particular builds that the Warrior uses? Like, because I know in Elementalist you can look at and say, oh well, there's various traits that all revolve around signets. So you'd build a signet utility to take advantage of those fully, or an arcane because there's a whole bunch of traits that revolve around arcane skills. Another whole set that revolve around auras. Another one that's around cantrips. What are the main builds that you guys would wind up using? Dontain, do you have one that revolves around a particular theme?
I made a video about. There's a trait in the arms tree called Forceful Greatsword, and what it does is every time you get a crit with a greatsword, you get 1 stack of might. And so you couple that with 100 blades, and your 1 spam gives vulnerability, and you basically can crit a bunch of times, and you will end up with at least 15 to 16, maybe 20 stacks of might. And the way 100 blades works is the first 8 strikes are all the same. The 9th strike, and your character usually like jumps in the air or something cool like that, it hits harder. It doesn't like that. It doesn't like hit twice as hard or whatever. It just hits a little harder. So that whole rising might idea is that you have the most might when you're doing that final hit, because the might boon only stays on for whatever the period of time is, and within 100 blades, you get that final hit will hit for so much damage, and yeah, I have a video up on my channel about it. It's really that's my favorite build. Period. But like. There are other really cool builds. I saw a guy created a build that's like a counter blow build. It's all like offhand mace, main hand mace has the counter blow number 2.
Counter blow, yep.
And so it's mace sword, and it's
yeah.
all he does is defensively counter blow stuff and bleed and survive. And it's just but great sword, forceful might. It's an arms discipline power build with berserker gear, so you can be a glass cannon, but you'll never die because you just have so much might that you just kill everything. And it's got sweet revenge, so if you do go down, you just apply sweet revenge. You're fine.
And because you probably did so much damage to your opponent, they're probably hanging on by a thread anyway.
Yeah, well, it was a really great video. It was a really great build because in Ore, before people had like full exotics and stuff, Ore was very dangerous. Mm-hmm. Like there's just the mob placement is so close together, and mobs pull you, mobs cripple you, they give you poison, and it was just a really great build to if you were going to play the Warrior very not conservatively, you could beat the shit out of everything, and then even if you did go down, you get sweet revenge. So that's really it. It's my favorite build, and I haven't run it in so long because I've only been running a more like defense tactics build just for farming ore nodes because that's how I make money in the game, sadly. So I have to go. I can't wait to go back to Rising Might after I get my Twilight, and I'll feel better.
All right. So we have breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. This is Martin Kirstein. So we wanted to give you a heads up about Phase 4 of the Halloween. Okay, that's offensive. That is not acceptable.
Martin Kirstein.
I'm sorry, Martin. I met him at PAX. He's a great guy. All right, anyway, he says, quote, we want to give you a heads up about Phase 4 of the Halloween event. Phase 4 will start at 9 a.m. on October 31st. That's tomorrow. And will run until we publish a new build on November 1st, which will be sometime after noon Pacific time. Once Phase 4 starts, the Ascent to Madness dungeon will no longer be available, but you will still be able to enter the Mad King's realm, including the Rat Labyrinth, Clock Tower, Reaper's Rumble, and Lunatic Inquisition. Also, make sure you will attend the party in Lion's Arch once Phase 4 starts. Do not worry, it's a non-stop party, so swing by whenever you want, and happy Halloween. That is cool. I'm going to get some time to do that before I go to that wedding I have to go to tomorrow. On Halloween. It's going to be a good time. So yeah, anyway, back to the Warrior.
Good choice for your wedding day, Halloween.
Right.
Do they have like the special affiliation with Halloween? They're like, yeah, let's get married on Halloween.
I guess. I don't know. They wanted to do something crazy.
It's going to be Halloween themed?
It is. I'm dressing up as Shaco. Shaco.
There you go.
And
Nice.
my wife is dressing up like Leona. She's out and making her costume right now. Actually, she's working.
Oh,
on
you
it.
know, would have been funny if you were dressed up as Diana. You could be Twisted
that
Sisters.
would have been funny, but it's not gonna happen.
But some of us have pride. I get it. I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying it'd be funny.
It would have been funny if I had the balls to do it, but I have too much balls to do it, as it were. Anyway, so let's get back to the warrior. I don't remember where we were. FriarTech, I was going to ask you, does the build that you use commonly, or builds, does any of them have a theme that you kind of try to revolve around? Like we were just talking about the whole, some of them revolve around a specific trait. Like we were just talking about the Forceful Greatsword. What about you?
I like. I really, really, really hate conditions when they're put on me, so nothing makes me giggle more than putting conditions on somebody else. And if my bleeds can last 50% longer, I'm cool with that. And
you know what rune set you would like? The Centaur rune set, plus 20% bleed duration.
I've been looking at them. I haven't put my level 80 armor together yet. Like I said, I just got it about a week ago, so I'm still deciding what I want to do with it. But there's a lot of neat things you can do in arms, and the one I've been using lately is Crack Shot, just because I have a really cool rifle with an awesome skin on it. That's the only reason I can't get rid of it. I know Quelp is just chewing his nails over there, because I'm not a real big fan of the rifle. But the Crack Shot gives all of your rifle shots pierce, and everything recharges 20% faster. That and the harpoon gun, but we've already moved past useless weapons in the game. The harpoon gunner, as I like to call it, the underwater aggro grabber. If you mess up and hit the number 3 button on the harpoon gun, you're going to get 17 things swimming over you.
Well, that's true of basically
just beat you in the face.
All water skills. And that's actually something I forgot to mention is where the hell is the spear? And the harpoon gun. There we go. Spear versus harpoon gun. What do you guys use underwater when you have to fight underwater?
Spear, without a doubt. Unless I need to move them back, then I'll switch over to the harpoon gun, hit the 5 button, move them back, and then switch back to spear once it recharges. Exactly.
That's the Mariner's Frenzy. It's only an 8-second cooldown, but it hits so fast. All right, so Whirling Strike has the same symbol. It always makes me think I'm playing an Elementalist because it's got that. Anyway, I'm getting hypnotized by trait icons at this point. We may have made a wrong turn and gone a little too long on the show here. All right, so any final comments on traits here? Is there anything that we missed? Is there any really cool thing that's worth pointing out to somebody who's just starting out a warrior? Is there a combination they should know exists?
I guess for support warriors, people who don't want to, just want to help and buff people with shouts, 30 in tactics is really useful. It has the 20% shorter cooldowns on shouts, and then the last line, you can make shouts heal. And it has almost like a 1-to-1 ratio with healing power. So it starts at like a base of 1100, but you can get up to like 2200 with runes and amulets, or I guess just a full rune sets for you guys. Because we have amulets that do all of that for us. But yeah, you can get like 2200 heals with it. So
if any of you guys ever wanted to play a warrior/monk from Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2, sounds like this is the way to do it. I think so. All right, any other final comments? Anything that we missed from the chat room? We got to find out. I know there's somebody in the chat room, some smart Alex, going to be like, we forgot to talk about the warrior's X skill when combined with the Y of something else. I don't mean to patronize them either. I need to hear that stuff. I want to make sure we cover this well. I'm not a warrior expert. That's why I got these guys here. Any final thoughts?
I just noticed something actually. Cialis in chat was talking about the 15-point minor in defense. It gives you a natural health regen, and it's actually nice in general. I think at level 3, if I remember numbers correctly, level 2 is 240, and level 3 is 360. And I think it ticks off every 3 seconds.
Yeah,
I can't
that's
remember.
What it says here. 240 and 360 every 3 seconds. Wow.
Yeah, so I know if you're going in a defensive line, it's actually really useful with that.
Especially, isn't there a, we didn't talk about healing skills. The healing signet would also give you even more regeneration. That is also sort of pseudo-based on your adrenaline level. What do you guys use for healing abilities? Healing surge, healing signet, mending. What do you think, Dontain?
I'm a big fan of and I think it's another discipline trait. I have to look. Signet Mastery. No, that's not it. The one where you get precision per every signet. Is that strength?
Oh,
or?
I've seen that. I just saw that it was one of the top ones. You know what?
I feel like a
think
retard because it's my favorite. It's one of those really, really good ones that I like, and I'm just like
There it is.
frantically
It's
looking for
the
it.
arms in the first level arms, number 1 arms.
Oh, of course.
Plus 40 precision for each unused signet you have
Yeah.
equipped.
So like if you like having signets, then you want that because you're going to get a lot more crits. But my experience has always been like if I go into a dungeon or something where I don't really need to use mending to remove conditions, then I go with healing signet for the extra regen. I'm not a big fan, and I don't know how Quap feels about it, but I'm not a big fan of healing surge. I only like using it when I'm playing a specific build, and that's a really tanky condition bleed build where the point is not to hit flurry, and it's just there to keep all your rage constantly up. That way, healing surge actually heals you for a ton, and you get the 9% more crit with 3 bars of adrenaline. But that's the only time I ever use it. Literally got mending at like level 2, and then just never used it again.
All right, Friar Tuck.
I don't think I've ever used mending, and I'm the opposite of them. I stay away from signets. I use the healing surge because if I need to heal myself that drastically, I'm already in trouble anyways, and I don't think that the regeneration does enough to warrant keeping it on you and not active.
One of the things I like, though, as to point out like a minor thing, is that didn't they? I'm like looking right now. They took the healing surge used to have. I'm sorry, healing signet used to have a longer cooldown, and that's why I thought like mending's so much better. It's not as much healing, but it's 20 seconds now. Healing signet is 20 seconds now as well, and I don't remember when that happened, but that was a thing that I liked.
It has,
I
a lower base heal than healing
because of the
surge,
regen.
I believe.
Yeah, because if you go into
Because of the
tactics,
regen,
your
yeah.
your healing signet will actually heal you for more because you have more healing power, which is cool. But again, I'll say it again. Healing surge cool, but you need adrenaline for it to heal you for a lot. Mending will just always heal you. And if you're on ore farming, getting rid of conditions is very important because all those risen, all the conditions do, and the gorillas that give you the freaking cripple that never goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for healing rain.
Thank God for Shake It Off or something else. Or Healing Rain.
Healing
Any
rain.
other warrior skill.
All right. So I'm sorry, Friar Tuck. Which one do you like to use the most?
I use the original one, the first one.
The healing surge?
Yep, just because it gives you the most health at one time.
Yep. Okay. Quelp, do you use one all the time exclusively, or do you have different builds?
I almost only use mending just because situationally it's more useful in PvP, like structured PvP, like 5v5s. Because also what people used to do with it is combine it with the 10 first line major trait, Restorative Power, the number 2. And you could actually get up to like 5 wipes on it instead of 2 because the restorative strength kicks in before mending. So you like wipe the cripple, you wipe the chill, you wipe the immobilize, and then it removes 2 more additional conditions in that case. But just like for warrior, mobility is actually like the most important thing on you. So just even if it's RNG, the chance of removing like cripple, the chance of removing chilled is huge by default. So that's why I use mending.
Gotcha. Alrighty, so before we do head out for the night, I do want to give a quick server shout out. That's right, we've got 2 shout outs tonight. Server shout out because apparently Cunart from the Black Tide server, which is an EU server, wanted to advertise his server instead of a guild, so we're doing both. He says, quote, "This is not so much a guild shout-out, but rather a server recruitment. Black Tide EU is seeking U.S. guilds or players to form U.S. guilds to help us in World versus World. Right now, there is no queue times for U.S. time zones. We have an alliance that communicates over Mumble, so our tactics are coordinated. Feel free to contact us in the Project Black Tide in the World versus World forum." So you can find out information on that on the show notes, which you can find at talesoftyria.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also find them in the description below. Finally, our guild shout-out for tonight is the Order of the Silver Prophets. We are, quote, we are a guild from the original Guild Wars and have been in Guild Wars 2 since the beginning. We are not what we used to be, merely a shadow of what we once were. But we are aiming for daily dungeon runs, as a few of us are already doing, World vs. World and general PvE. We are at the Desolation EU server and a member of the Desolation Server Council. SP is an international guild with members from both US and EU. We have event server but no website at the moment, which means you can contact them in-game via niacin.4926, niacin 4926, or the email that is provided on the show notes, hsxmaniac@gmail.com. So check those out in the show notes if you want to learn more about those there. There's some links, there's some emails, and if you want to get your guild or server promoted on the show, we'll throw them in at the end. Send us an email, feedback@talesoftyria.com. Also, if you have any other thoughts, things that we should talk about in the future, controversies that we're missing, feedback@talesoftyria.com is how you get a hold of us. And finally, if you just want to yell at Bridger and tell him what a terrible job he did this week, feedback@talesoftyria.com. But please, keep it constructive. I do pay attention and read every single email that we do get sent, and I try to respond to as many of them as physically possible that I can fit into the week, and I appreciate everybody who sent in emails telling us what we're doing wrong, what we're doing right, and we're trying to respond to that and do our best. All right, so with that, I want to say goodbye to each of our guests in turn. Quilp is the main warrior for the D1A division of Team Legacy. That is the thing with stuff with the it's the structured PvP team. That's the word I was looking for. Wow. All right, fail on my side. Thank you for joining us, Quelp.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a good time. Also, Friar Tuck, you've got nothing to plug, but I did want to say thank you for joining us. Did you have any shout-outs you want to make to a guild, a server?
My guild, the Midnighters Guild, there's 6 of us. We've been around since '04, Guild Wars 1. We just enjoy playing together.
All right. Thank you, sir. And finally, the celebrity on the show, Dontain. Welcome and have a good day. And thank you so much for joining us. Check out his channel, youtube.com/Dontain. Thank you again, sir.
Yeah, no problem, man.
I do enjoy your videos myself, and I hope everybody else goes and checks those out, and I hope that you tell everybody about this cool thing that you were on, and then maybe they can come check me out. All right, so I am, in fact, Bridger, bringing you a close here today, episode number 54 of Tales of Tyria. Have a good night, everybody. See that imperceptible cut towards the end there that nobody will ever be able to tell was there. All right.
The 3 of us will.
The audience never notices mistakes. All right. Thank you again, guys. That was a fantastic show. And it didn't run terribly long. Kind of. Hopefully.
I don't even know what time is it. I got
8:45, it looks like. We started a little bit late, but we're probably about an hour and 40-ish minutes total. But I think it was quite entertaining. We had a lot of laughs. We had a lot of good info. I hope people appreciate it.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if Quelp was going to be like, yeah, Team Legacy, fuck you, Paradigm, and good night. But, you know, he took the high road, and
we are still on the air. We're just not going to record this part into the show.
Bastards, and hope Team Legacy beats you in whatever ladder match ranking thing they have in this game in structured PvP. Have fun being in Europe, German, and whatever. My friend is German. He's friends with these guys. They're all very cool people. But
well then,
I guess we're lucky Quelp took the high road then, huh?
That's what Dontain's here for. He's like,
now
guys, you're missing the low road.
Go.
You went the high road, but let's explore this other road.
Because they're going to go back to the forums on their website and go, did you hear what Quelp